Isa. Hey. Hey guys! I've got my cats here and it's tea time, so they're all being a little bit crazy. This is Isa. He is the star of my Knitty Cats Cozy Mystery series and definitely hungry. It's definitely tea time for them all. They're all hanging around. Anyway, today I thought I would read you chapter 1 from my coffee shop cozy mystery, which is called Den on Doughnuts. You can see this one here. The audiobook is actually free if you want to try it on Audible. You can click the link below. I'll just put my Den on Doughnuts book there so you can see it. Got cat hair up my nose now. But yeah, I thought I would read Den on Doughnuts today. You can see inside the book here all the different bits, and we are reading chapter 1. This is my first live reading, so very exciting. Den on Doughnuts is actually set in a fictional coffee shop in the ski resort in Val D'Isera, which is a made-up place in Austria. So it takes place, the first part of the book takes place in Oxford, England in the summer, and later takes place at the ski resort. So I hope that you enjoy it. As I say, this is my first live reading, so yeah, and feel free to put any messages or comments as well, and I'll answer them for you. So let's get started. I think the cats will settle down a little bit now. A-level results day, St Winifred's School, Oxford, England, 16th of August 2018. I think I'm going to die, Eloise whimpered, clutching my arm for support as she ran her finger down the names of the school notice board. I took a deep, nervous breath. Me too. I can't look. I was desperate to find my name, but I was terrified of the outcome. What if I'd failed my A-levels? Or let us both down by not matching Eloise's grades? We had both studied so hard, and our future as private investigators depended on us getting into university. Our dream job could be over before it had even begun. I felt a tense grip on my arm as Eloise let out a scream, shaking me out of my sudden onset of self-doubt. Oh my goodness! Maddie! I did it! I actually passed! She pulled me towards her, her finger now pointing furiously towards her name on the board. Look there! You see it? Eloise Elizabeth Bates, Psychology, A-star, German, A-star, Chemistry, A-star, Business, A-star. Heavens to Betsy, Eloise, I gasped, giving her a big hug. I just knew you could do it, old chum. Eloise and I were huge geeks, and it was our life's mission to bring back all the brilliant expressions from the golden age of mystery fiction, even if we did seem a little bit weird compared to our friends who used words like sick instead of brilliant and blood when talking to classmates. It was our little thing, something that Eloise and I had started when we were 10 years old and first came across the works of Agatha Christie. It was second nature to us now. Eloise pulled out her phone, snapping a photo of her exam results, just to make sure her grades were real and she hadn't imagined them. Technically, we weren't allowed to take photos of the results board, but since the school wouldn't be able to give us detention or expel us for our behaviour, we figured there was no harm in breaking the rules just this once. Eloise was jumpy with anticipation, clearly relieved now she had the news she had waited all summer for, which was more than could be said for me. My stomach was doing the tango, and my heart was worryingly starting to creep up my throat. Eloise patted my arm, sensing my anxiety. That was the great thing about having a best friend. There was no need for words, and years of boarding at school together meant that she knew exactly how to help me in my hour of need. Come on, Maddie, let's find your results. I'm sure you'll do spliffily. Before I had a chance to respond, Eloise was hastily looking down the list, trying to find my name. She had always been the braver of us, especially in kindergarten. Where I was timid and shy, Eloise came to life in any new situation. That's what made us a great team. Eloise focused on the bigger picture, and I on the finer details. It had always been that way. I inhaled deeply of the stale air of the hot corridor, pushing down my nerves as best I could. My hands were trembling badly. I hadn't been this nervous at the end of the school drama production of Daisy Pulls It Off, and I'd had the lead role in that. This was just ridiculous. Sure, I was naturally sensitive, but I wasn't usually a nervous sort. I can't, Eloise. You do it, please. And if my results are bad, then just promise me you won't tell me. Make them up. It felt childish to be a drama queen. No one would die if I failed, but I knew that my exams would shape mine and Eloise's future together, and I treasured my best friend more than anything else. Eloise gave me a reassuring smile, but I averted my gaze, certain that I would puke or burst into tears or both at any moment. I imagined myself in one of those old black and white movies from the 1940s, a pitiful attempt to take my mind off my current predicament. Right about now, I, as the dashing lead actress, would faint on the spot, only for some charming young man to appear from nowhere and sweep me into his arms. I giggled at the randomness of my imagination, not entirely sure where the thought had come from. After all, our all-girls boarding school was, in fact, run by nuns. I leant against the corridor wall, almost falling through the door of the toilet. The moment was hardly blockbuster movie material. Eloise tugged my arm, keenly aware that my attention and my physical presence had wandered away from the exam results board. It was a good job that Eloise was on the case, because had it been up to me, I might never have checked the results. She was well and truly focused. Let me see. Carter, Chang, Chesney, Cook! Madeline Cook! There you are, Maddie. Okay, let's see what you've got. Oh, Maddie! Look! Eloise had suddenly gone silent, her voice escaping her. It was not exactly helpful. I still couldn't look. Yes? Yeah, what does it say? I spat out impatiently. On second thoughts, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Ever. But it was too late. Eloise had regained control of her vocal cords and now delightedly spilt my results as fast as her mouth could formulate the words. Look, Maddie, look, you've passed. See here, psychology A star, French A star, business A star, physical education A star. By Jove, all three, 4 A stars. You really are a genius of the highest order. I suddenly wished that I hadn't just told Eloise to lie about my grades. Now I didn't know whether to believe her or not. Really? I asked in disbelief. You're not having me on, are you? It would be far worse than failing to now hear that I'd passed, only to discover I really had failed. Eloise was grinning something rotten, except I couldn't see her face because I had my eyes tight shut. But I could feel the strength of her glare, and from the way she was violently shaking my arm as she chuckled, I knew she was speaking the truth. If only I could get my feet to move. I might have taken a peek at the notice board for myself. Eloise let go of my arm and snapped another photo on her phone before thrusting the screen in my face. I opened one eye cautiously. There was no denying it. Eloise could not have faked that photo. I shook my head in disbelief, grabbing the phone from her. Physically holding the picture in my hands gave me some sense of comfort, made things feel more tangible. Wait, let me see that, I said, looking between the results of the phone and the results on the school notice board. It really was the truth. Hours and hours of studying had paid off. Eloise, I passed! I passed my A-levels! We're going to be private investigators. It's real. I mean, it's happening. It's coming true. We did it. Eloise was still nodding, clearly delighted that my reactions had at long last caught up with hers. Now we could celebrate together. Eloise smiled as she said out loud what we were both thinking. Won't be long until the Bates and Cook Private Investigators Agency opens its doors. Oxford's #1 detective agency. I pulled Eloise in for a BFF hug. You know what this means, don't you? I sure do, Eloise replied. Tea time at Mrs. Tiggywinkle's. We were just about to leave for Mrs. B's tea shop in the city centre when Mr. Smith, the school's caretaker, appeared from nowhere, his face all twisted and wiry. What's all this racket? Haven't you lot got better things to be doing than hanging around the school in the holidays? Mr. Smith knew full well we were here to collect our exam results, but pretended as if we had randomly decided to break into an empty school. Sorry, sir, I replied. We were just here to pick up our exam results. Mr. Smith huffed. The other students had, of course, arrived before us to pick up their results, but Eloise and I had wanted to miss the drama of wailing teachers, parents and students, so we opted to come as late as we could to miss all the fuss, much to Mr. Smith's annoyance, as we had now discovered. It really wasn't a big deal, just an hour after everyone else and still within the designated visiting time, and besides, Mr. Smith was supposed to be at school for the day, undertaking any required maintenance in preparation for the new term. There was no way that we were putting him out by arriving later than the rest of our classmates. He glanced at his phone for the umpteenth time and scowled as another message from his wife pinged loudly. We didn't need to be detectives to understand that she was waiting for him at home with a lovely chilled bottle of rosé and a barbecue that needed lighting. You had to make the most of the sunny days when you lived in Britain, and right now it was sweltering, as was Mr. Smith's temper. Enjoy the rest of the summer, sir, Eloise said, as we left Mr. Smith to his sulking. It was odd to think that we would never have to see him again. That was it, our last time on the school premises. He would be the last staff member we would speak to, and our last time as school students. How very odd. But at the same time, it was exhilarating, as we began a new phase in our lives. There was suddenly so much to think about, a lot of unknowns, and for the first time, the freedom to make decisions completely by ourselves. Once the initial excitement of our results died down, we somehow both drifted off into our own little private worlds, taking in the enormity of what the future might hold for us. We were so lost in private thought that it was a real surprise to realise we were now stood outside Mrs. B's coffee shop, called Mrs. Tiggywinkle's. Luckily, our feet knew the way, as we'd been visiting our favourite haunt ever since we were old enough to get permission to leave the school grounds. We frequented there for our group work, exam revision sessions, and in our roles as baristas, learning to make coffee and all kinds of tray bakes with Mrs. B, who owned the coffee shop. So there we go. We've just met Maddie and Eloise, our Oxford A-level graduates. They've just finished their exams, and they're about to start a new and very exciting adventure together in the Austrian ski resort of Val D'Isera. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow to read chapter 2. The cats seem to have settled down a little bit, and if you want to grab the audiobook, you can grab it for free with Audible. The link is below, and yeah, you can grab that one for free, and that's read by Kim Breton, who does a much better job than me. She's a proper actor, audiobook narrator. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed that. I don't quite know how to see if there's any questions, but hopefully if you have any messages or questions, you can leave them for me, and I'll be back tomorrow to do another reading. So I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, please follow me and I'll speak to you again soon.